All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2021. This is day 6. Um, I am yet again in queue for Final Fantasy 14 because the majority of my Final Fantasy 14 playtime right now is sitting in queue. I have lots of opinions about that. It's not what this video is going to be about. I actually wanted to talk about something that I don't think I've talked about on here before, but has been absolutely essential in how I live my life, which is what's called de-escalation. For those of you that don't know, before I became disabled, I worked in retail management. I started off technically, I started off uh, delivering pizzas. But after there was an incident at the place where I worked where one of the managers came in drunk and hit on one of the underage kids that was working there. Um, and was not reprimanded or nothing happened to them. I decided I couldn't work there anymore. And I I got into direct sales, and my first job in direct sales was 100% commission. I nearly starved. It was not a good experience, mostly because the company that I worked for was incredibly unethical, and basically required you to lie to your customers in order to make sales. And I have never been that kind of salesman. Um, I Fun fact: honest salesmen do significantly better than dishonest salesmen across the board. It's remarkably difficult to climb the ladder in sales as a dishonest salesman, just because there's too much you can't control when you start lying to your customers. It just, as much as people think that all salesmen are liars, not the vast majority don't, because you have to be literally the best salesman in the world to make it as a lying salesman. That's just how it works. Um, so anyway, I went from direct sales to working in retail, and being part of the sales team of a chain of stores, a multinational chain of stores that I will not name specifically, just because I've gotten used to never saying the name. Um, and because I no longer had to lie to my customers, I did super, super well. And within, I want to say it was 6 months ish, I was promoted to management. And I stayed in management for about 5 years. I hopped around to a bunch of different stores. I eventually went to a completely different company. And every single place that I went, I did massively, massively, massively well. To the point where I made enemies because of how well I did. Because I would walk into a store that was unsavable, and in 6 months I would have it turned around and turning up a profit. And people that had worked there for 10, 15 to 20 years would go, well, no, that's not possible. I go, I'm not telling you it's doing good. These are the sales figures. This is our 3% profit growth. This is our, 27% sales growth. I'm not making these claims. This is what it actually was. So, one of the things I learned very, very quickly when I got into management is how to de-escalate a situation. And a lot of people have a complete misconception about what de-escalation is and what management is in general. So I wanted to talk a little bit about probably the most effective de-escalation method I have used personally. And you can use this, it works really well in management, because management is such a broad term, and you have to have such a wide skill set to do well in it, that just saying that, oh, I'm a manager means nothing to me, because just in the store where I worked, we had, I think, 5 managers. Not a single one of them ever did the same thing in the store, and 2 of them had the exact same job title, and yet they were vastly different in what they actually dealt with in the store. And all of us were managers. And it didn't matter what our job description said either. I did so much of other people's jobs in management, and that is how you rise in the ranks of management, is basically you do your boss's job for them long enough for someone higher up than your boss to see that you are actually doing their job, and then they give you their job. That's how you get up. You don't fire. They give you a job in another store or something like that. You very rarely get promoted in the same store you start in. It's actually a really bad idea. It's generally better to transfer you to another store for any sort of promotion, because people that used to be on the same level as you now having to answer to you is never a good idea. But anyway, so de-escalation is something that literally every manager should be able to do. The vast majority of them don't. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand how it's supposed to work. A lot of people think when you get into management, you just get to go, I'm the manager, you do this. It never works. I've seen managers do that. They get fired. And they don't get fired from employee complaints. They don't get fired for misconduct or anything like that. They get fired because their store doesn't turn a profit. All right, and I just got 2002 out of Final Fantasy 14. So fun. That's how it always is. So, yeah, de-escalation. De-escalation. A lot of people think de-escalation is somehow something only authority figures can do, and it somehow involves you passing some sort of judgment or ruling. It's nothing to do with that. De-escalation, there are a lot of different things you do when you're trying to de-escalate a situation. But one of the simplest and most effective ones is simply getting everyone to just accept the fact that they're right. And I know that sounds weird, because in a situation where there's a conflict between 2 people or a lot of different people, it would seem weird that your goal is to make everyone think that they're right, because these 2 people fighting can't both be right. And in one way, you're 100% right in that, in the idea that, yes, if they have conflicting, mutually exclusive ideas, they can't both be right. However, that doesn't mean they can't both feel that they're right. And the purpose of de-escalation is not to figure out who is right or wrong. It is not to solve the problem that they're attempting to fix, but getting into this conflict. It's not even about moving forward. De-escalation is simply meant to prevent further conflict. And really, the goal of de-escalate, or the path that you go at for de-escalation, is it really doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you can get everybody in the conflict to stop fighting. You've done the right thing for the most part. And the specific technique I want to talk about is, you need to not only understand both sides, but you need to get both sides of the conflict, or however many sides there are, to feel that you understand their position. And one of the easiest ways to do that is go, hey, I want to help, but I need you to explain what's going on here. And then you have to actively listen to them. Active listening is a skill. This is not something that everybody can just intrinsically do. It is a skill. Active listening involves a couple different things. First things first, you need to be making some sort of communication back to them. Generally making eye contact, watching them. That is the first step. A lot of people don't quite get this because they will see, they've had interactions with managers where they spend all their time taking notes. And they're very rarely, they'll look up every so often and they go back to taking notes. That is not a de-escalation strategy. And if you're in the middle of a conflict, taking notes is the wrong thing to do. If you have a horrible memory and you will not remember, like, again, me at this point, I won't remember a lot of the points that people bring up. Doesn't matter. The whole point of de-escalation is you're not solving anything. You're not there to fix anything. You're there to stop the conflict. So it starts with active listening. Make eye contact. Make them aware that you are totally invested in whatever they're saying. Again, the point there is you need to make them aware of it. It could be while you're taking notes, you're ignoring everything but them. They don't know that. You have to be able to see it from their viewpoint. So you make them aware they're the only person you are focusing on right now. So make eye contact. Nod. Shake your head. When they say things that they don't agree with, you shake your head in agreement with them. When they say things in the affirmative, you nod your head. You want them to see you reacting to what they're saying. In addition, say things that they have said back to you to show that you understand. Well, this guy, he just, every single day he comes in, he sits there and he puts his lunch on top of my lunch, and he always has fish, and so my lunch smells like fish every single day. Okay, I totally get it. So what you're saying is every time he comes in, like, you see it on there. No, but it always smells like fish. Okay, makes perfect sense to me. So every day your lunch smells like fish. You don't have fish in your lunch. And you know it's because he's putting his fish lunch on top of yours, right? So what you want to do, you don't want to repeat it word for word, because then it just sounds like you're parroting what they're saying, and it sounds insulting. You want to rephrase it a little bit, but ensure that you are giving them back the same implications that they gave you. This is not the time for you to pick apart their argument. So you've never seen him put his fish lunch on there. Well, no, but it smells like fish, and everyone knows he has fish. But did it smell like fish today? Well, yeah, he didn't have fish today, so it couldn't have been that. That is a later point. You don't want to do that. Ignore that. Even if they have the most bonkers idea ever, you need to make them understand that you understand exactly what they're saying. This is not the time to try and solve the problem. This is the time to get everyone calmed down. And a lot of times, the reason people get so upset and so invested is because they feel alone. They feel that they are the only person in the world that sees this problem. And when you are backed into a corner and you feel like you are the only person in your corner, you will lash out. That's how it works. So, by simply giving them your full attention, repeating back things that they say to you, with the exact implications that they gave you, they're going to go, oh my God, this guy gets it. I'm willing to listen to him because he actually understands what's going on. Again, even if they're absolutely bonkers. At this point, it doesn't matter. Everybody is right at this point because the only thing you want to do is get the conflict ended. You want to calm people down because when people are backed into a corner and they feel that they're alone and they're lashing out, they're not able to make rational decisions and come to a conclusion that everybody can work with. No, they just want to be told they're right. So tell them that they're right. So just sit there and go, okay, I understand. This is what you feel. And that's completely valid. If I was in your position, I would feel the exact same way. All right? In a perfect world, you will do this after you have separated the parties some way, shape, or form. If you can't, you still have to focus on one at a time. So if someone starts jumping in, hey, no, there's a, hey, you know what? When it's your turn, I'm going to give my entire attention to you. I promise you that. However, I'm getting their side of the story. I have to understand the entirety of the story before I can fix this. So don't say anything. Don't do anything. Why don't you head off, get a drink, go to the break room, whatever you need to do to chill out. I promise I will be with you in a second. So you sit there, active listening, saying things back, paraphrasing things, and ensuring that every time you paraphrase something and say it back to them, it is with the exact same implications that they gave you. Do not poke holes in their stories. Do not try to convince them that they're wrong at this point. Just get them to the point where you can say, okay, so this is what you've told me. And at the end of everything, you should always go, okay, so this is what you've told me. You said this, you said this, you said this. And because of these the things, you feel this, correct? Yeah, that's what I said. Excellent. Can you write that down for me? It doesn't matter if your work has like official forms for complaints or incidents or anything like that. Always make them write it down. Even if you never use what they write down, writing it down makes them feel better because they are putting something physical. This is no longer just their words that people can misremember. They can point, no, look, I said right here. So make them write it down. It's super simple, super easy, and it gives them something to focus on while you go do the exact same thing with the other parties. Again, in a perfect world, you will do this when they are separated by as much space as physically possible. Put them in different rooms if you can. Because again, they both feel that they've been backed into a corner and they're the only person in the world that knows and understands what it is that they're doing. Even if they have other people on their side, they still are going to feel alone because the other people on their side can't do anything about it. Once they get someone in authority on their side, now they actually feel like they have some support. So you go to the other side. You say, hey, I want to know what happened from your perspective. Well, you already heard them. You're not going to believe. No, I have completely... It's all gone. What they said is no longer in my brain. I'm having them write it down so I don't have to remember it. I am here just to hear what you feel is the problem. And you listen to them and use active listening. You sit there and go, okay, makes sense. Again, this is not meant to poke holes in their story. You're not taking sides. It doesn't matter if this person is obviously in the wrong. At this point, you are de-escalating. You need everyone to be calm. So you said, okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I totally get it. You don't ever eat fish. That makes perfect sense. Using the phrase that makes sense or I get that, things like that where you are confirming that they're not acting irrationally. Again, even if they are acting irrationally, you want them to feel that they're not, because in their mind, they're not. This is something a lot of people don't understand. Your mind doesn't work irrationally. People can act irrationally, but their brain has come up with a very convoluted way to make that appear rational to them. When you are confronted with irrational thought processes, you experience this thing called cognitive dissonance. It is extremely unpleasant. It is so unpleasant that it can cause people to actually have psychotic breaks. And when I say it is unpleasant, I don't mean like that doesn't make sense. I mean it physically feels bad. It's an entire body reaction. You feel it in your gut, you feel it in your muscles. If you've never experienced cognitive dissonance, it is the most unpleasant experience you can have without having someone physically hurt you. It is very, very unsettling. It takes a long time to recover from it. So, because it is so unpleasant, your brain will do crazy mental gymnastics to get you to a point where you don't have to experience that cognitive dissonance. You don't have to confront the fact that you are acting irrationally. So, when someone is spewing forth just complete and utter nonsense to you, you need to go, hey, I completely understand. I was unaware any of this stuff was going on. Obviously, I have to look into this in order for me to be able to do anything about it. But everything that you're telling me, if I was in your position and I saw these things, I would come to a similar conclusion. Which is 100% true. This is not a lie or anything. If your brain was doing the same mental gymnastics that this other person's brain was doing, then yeah, you would come to the same conclusion because that's what your brain told you to do. Again, people don't act irrationally in their own mind. Everything they do makes perfect sense. Now, it may be based on irrational premises, but you cannot confront them immediately with this is irrational and destroy the very carefully constructed thing that their mind has created in order for them to exist without cognitive dissonance, because then they will experience cognitive dissonance and then bad things happen. So that is one de-escalation to the technique. Like I said, there's a lot more than that. But quite literally, if that is the only thing you ever do to de-escalate situations, is separate them and tell them both that they're right effectively, using active listening, you will become a master at de-escalation. People will be absolutely flabbergasted at how good you are at resolving tension. Now, the hard part is after it's de-escalated, then you have to put your manager cap, a different manager cap on. You have to figure out who's right, who's wrong, and what needs to be done about it. That is a whole different video. That is a whole different video series. But de-escalation techniques are extremely important, especially in the culture that we live in right now, where disagreements have become not just, hey, I have a different opinion or you, or I'm right and you're wrong. They have turned into life and death. If you don't agree with me, you are killing someone. You are a murderer. You are insert word here, and therefore you deserve to die. We have seen in the news over and over and over again arguments escalating to the point where somebody gets severely wounded or killed because one or both the people had decided this is a life and death struggle. So learning proper de-escalation to the techniques, and you don't have to be in a position of authority to do this. You simply have to be confident when you get into the situation. People will naturally follow someone who is displaying leadership qualities, especially in a conflict situation. People naturally will look for someone to lead them. Even born leader, like I am naturally a leader type person. In a conflict situation, I will naturally take a leadership position. Even people like me will still, before they step into the leadership position, will still look around for a leader. It's just, it's second nature to look for someone that looks like they know what they're doing. And a really simple way to do that is keep your head, look calm. You don't have to be calm, you have to look calm. And then people will automatically assume you know what you're doing. And then again, you separate them out You use active listening. You let them know that you understand them. You validate what they're feeling, saying, hey, I get it. I understand. If I was in the exact same situation you are in right now, I would feel the same way. You are 100% valid in what you are feeling right now. And once everyone is calmed down, then you can deal with things. You can start poking holes in things, but you need people to be calm. And that is the entirety of what de-escalation is about. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. As much as I despised retail, retail is the most soul-sucking, horrible experience of my life. And I specifically got a degree in marketing management, so I'd never have to do it again. So as much as I despised retail, I really enjoyed management. Management was a ton of fun for me. It's where I really started honing my training skills. The whole Trainer Jody thing is not just a cool name. I am a trainer. And while I've been training my entire life, management is where I feel that I went from, hey, this is something I'm kind of decent at, to, hey, this is something I can do professionally, and I'm one of the best. Call me arrogant. I believe I'm one of the best trainers in the country. Call me arrogant. Call me whatever you want. I've got data to back it up. So, yeah. Anyway, that's all from me today. I'll see you guys next time. All right. Bye-bye.